Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a really powerful piece of strategic wisdom. It's all about how understanding the downside of a big decision is actually the secret to getting the upside. All right, let's jump right into this core idea from Sun Tzu's Art of War. And it sounds kind of like a paradox, right? To get all the good stuff, you first have to master all the bad stuff that could happen. This one idea, man, it's a huge lesson for pretty much anyone making a big, high-stakes choice, whether you're a general or a CEO. So Sun Tzu had this view of warfare. It wasn't just some tool you pull out to get a win. Nope. He saw it as a seriously dangerous, double-edged sword. You use it right, you win. But if you're careless, whoa, it can cut you just as deep as your enemy, maybe even deeper. Now, the original Chinese concept here is Jinzi. And listen, this goes way beyond just making a pros and cons list. We're talking about a total, deep-down understanding of every single thing that could go wrong, every potential disaster, every hidden trap, every single negative outcome you can possibly imagine. And this really breaks down the two different ways of thinking, doesn't it? You've got the short-sighted leader who just sees the prize and takes off running, totally blind to all the cliffs on the way. But then you have the strategic leader. What do? They carefully map out every single one of those cliffs first. And only then, once they know the dangers, do they figure out the safe way to get that prize. Okay, so to really see what this looks like in the real world, let's jump in our time machine and go back about 2,500 years. We're going to look at this incredible story of ambition, warnings that were totally ignored, and just catastrophic failure. It's a textbook case of a leader who could only see the gain. So this whole campaign played out like a four-act tragedy. It all kicks off in 627 BCE with this super tempting offer. Hey, let's launch a surprise attack. But the red flags were there right from the get-go. A key advisor was literally predicting disaster. Fast forward to the next year, and boom, the surprise is gone. All thanks to a sharp merchant. And that leads directly to a deadly ambush that just completely annihilates the entire army on their way home. And here's the absolute key to this whole mess. Duke Mu was just so fixated on the prize, capturing an entire state, that he went completely blind to the obvious dangers. He just couldn't Jinju the harm. He didn't fully grasp the risk of a 1,000-mile supply line, of having a totally exhausted army, and of facing an enemy that's already on high alert. And in the end, you can just feel the regret in Duke Mu's words. It really drives home the painful truth, right? He learned his lesson, for sure, but only after his army was wiped off the map and his generals were captured. He learned it way, way too late. Okay, now let's fast forward 2,500 years and see how this exact same principle plays out in our modern world. Because this isn't just some dusty old story. It's a timeless mistake. And the exact same strategic blunder was made again, with consequences that were just as devastating. So picture this, it's 1990, and Iraq is in a really, really tough spot. After a long, brutal war with Iran, the country is drowning in over $40 billion of foreign debt. The pressure was just massive. And right next door, you've got what looks like a perfect solution, Kuwait. It's a tiny little nation, but it's sitting on the world's fourth largest oil reserves. Now, if you're a leader staring down financial ruin, well, that's a prize that's almost impossible to ignore. So Saddam Hussein, with his eyes locked on that prize, made his move. He launched this massive, overwhelming invasion and conquered all of Kuwait in just 10 hours. On the surface, it looked like a stunningly fast and successful military operation. And this right here just lays out his fatal miscalculation so perfectly. On one side, you see what he thought he'd get, all that oil wealth. But on the other side, that's the reality. That's the harm he totally failed to consider. Instead of riches, his country's assets were frozen worldwide. Instead of solving his debt problem, he got hit with crippling sanctions. And instead of becoming a regional power, he got complete and utter ruin. You see, it's the exact same story as Duke Mu, just with tanks instead of chariots. His total failure to Jinju the harm, the massive political, economic, and military backlash from the rest of the world, it didn't lead to victory. It led to the absolute destruction of his country's interests. The parallel here is pretty chilling, isn't it? A Chinese duke in 627 BCE and an Iraqi president in 1990. It reveals this universal law of strategy that goes way beyond the battlefield. And the law is this: chasing after the good stuff without first mastering the risks, well, that's just a recipe for disaster. So what's the big takeaway here? It's a really simple but incredibly powerful three-step process. Before you go chasing after any big reward, you have to do the hard work first. You got to think through every single thing that could possibly go wrong. First, identify all the potential harms. Second, come up with plans to deal with them. And only then, only after you've done all that, do you move forward to actually get the prize. And look, this is not just for generals planning a war. Think about it. Are you about to launch a new product? You better think about all the supply chain risks first. Making a big investment? You have to understand the worst-case scenarios for the market. This kind of strategic thinking is absolutely crucial for anyone in a competitive situation, whether that's in a boardroom or just in your own life. So I'm going to leave you with this question. It is so easy to fall into that trap of optimism bias, right? To just focus on the best possible outcome. But as we've seen today, real strategic genius, it's about a disciplined focus on the negative. So have you really done the work? Do you Jian Shu? Do you fully, completely, and totally understand the harm? Because honestly, answering that question, that's what separates a brilliant success from a total catastrophic failure.